Fuck you. Fuck you. Oh, god damn. Okay, so come out of building 1 and avoid these cursed trucks, and then... Okay, we'll move over to the right of that. Fuck! The next 2 screens are just littered with landmines, and it's at this point I realized I still hadn't picked up the mine detector yet. And guess what that is? Guess! So I just decided I'd trial and error, you know? I'm trying different paths, figuring out my way through, putting Snake through this hellish cycle of death and rebirth over which he has no control and from which there is no escape. And it's here I discover that if you die enough times in the same spot, the game will just take pity on you and kit you the fuck out. Max rations, max ammo for all weapons. Let's do this. Yes, magic rations good. The next boss, the tank, I don't know what kind. It doesn't get a cool designation like the Hind D. I guess Kojima didn't know as much about tanks as he did about helicopters. And the missiles aren't gonna help you this time, neither will the grenades. So you need to run up and put mines down in the tank's path and then wait for it to run over them. All the while it's doing this shit, and so you play it safe. You don't run it all the way. Throw a few mines down near the front and just wait for it to roll over them, right? Well, the tank doesn't always come out all the way, and sometimes it'll just stop shy of them, like it knows that they're there and it's mocking your feeble attempts. And it takes about 12 mines to finish this thing off. It is the longest boss fight, and most of it is just waiting. And you could waste the 12 mines it takes to kill this thing, or you could just abuse the iframes like I did and glitch right through it. It seems Foxdank is trying to infiltrate the base. Trying? Do you guys talk to each other? Whatever you do, do not let them through. Oh yeah, well I've got a full stock of petty missiles. I'll show them. Inspections. Wear the enemy uniform and infiltrate. Fucking really? Can't I just kill these guys? I mean, yeah, I can, but the door doesn't respond to any of your keys, so I assume it's being desperately blocked by an enemy soldier that just watched his friends get murdered in front of him. Fine. At least this time Big Boss actually gets the use of infiltrate right. Even though he still wants you to get seen by guards, he wants you to do it in an enemy uniform, because I guess he's learned the tactical value of not getting caught. Also, I don't have an enemy uniform. I guess I forgot it, so now it's time for progression step 3. Backtracking. Right, yep, I figured I left that there, but at least the game is good enough to respawn me back at building 1 instead of building 2. Okay, so technically now I have everything I need to get into building 2. But while I'm here... Okay, ready to go back to building 2. So coming into building 2, you're going to want to come over to this room on the left first, go in and out a few times to abuse the item respawn and pick up a bunch of mines because the game hates you and immediately throws you into another boss fight, this time against the hardest boss in the game. This thing doesn't back off like that cowardly tank does. This Bulldozer thing, which despite being more difficult than any other boss in the game, is excluded from the boss rush list, probably because of how bullshit it is. It only has one gear, and that's forward unto death. It touches you once, you die. And like me, maybe you thought that you should use the mines. I mean, it makes sense, right? You've just used them on the tank after all, and this thing is kind of like a tank, just with the armor at the front. You can't damage it this way though, because an armored tank can't take as many landmines as excavation equipment. I don't know if that's accurate or not. I think excavation equipment does get used in landmine clearing, but I don't know if it's, you know, like, you know what, let's just go with that. Even if you could use the mines, there really isn't enough time or space between the Bulldozer and the wall behind you for you to get that many down. So lob a few grenades over the top and you're good. Like I said, pretty bullshit, but using the grenade launcher is the best strategy here. The antenna is also near the beginning here, and it's probably the most essential item in the game while also being the most infuriating. It stops your radio from being jammed, which really just means that without this thing, Big Boss can't harass you, and picking it up ruins that. Wait, Big Boss hadn't been calling me up to this point? I hadn't noticed. I guess I was just so relieved. Oh, come on! It's also the one thing in the game that breaks the rule about needing to be in the item slot in order to be active, and we'll get to why soon, but you'll want this. The guards in the area also seem to be more capable of spotting you. There's more of them, they tend to have overlapping sight lines, and there's even this section here that forces you to cross a guard's line of sight, which sets them off even though you're underwater, like they're on some kind of heightened alert or something. Someone's got them so spooked they're even watching the water suspiciously. Reaching the lift, basically one of the only doors you can actually go through at this point, you're gonna find out that this particular lift only goes up. That's gonna come up again. Onto the second floor, and here you'll find something. I didn't know what these things were at first. It's really hard to tell with the pixel aesthetic, and again, if you were playing the English version of this game, you probably wouldn't know what they were supposed to be. I mean, my first guess was that they were wearing some kind of rubber pants, tight black shirts, and domino masks wrapped around some kind of helmet. A being clearly superior to any human. Ada Heaven wasn't satisfied with a walking nuclear battle mech. They were aiming for something grander than any of us mere mortals could possibly imagine. Hey, speaking of the English version of this game, the original version of Metal Gear for the MSX was released in Japan halfway through 1987, with an English port being released in Europe later that same year. While both versions were functionally identical, the English version was missing a little under half of the radio conversations present in the Japanese version, with the remaining messages being shortened. This is likely due to the fact that you can say a lot more with Japanese characters than you can with English words, and the MSX carts would have only had so much space. There was also a bunch of spelling and grammar errors, and some peculiarities in translation because of the region. For instance, these would be cursed fucking lorries. Then of course there are your classic difficulties in translation. Like Big Boss screaming at you to penetrate the enemies out of heaven, whatever that means. And that there must be some resistance around the place. Let's not probe too deeply into these things. In 2004, the game got ported to mobile phones in Japan only, which brought with it a bunch of changes. An easy mode and boss rush mode were added, as was the bandana for players that had started a new game after beating it once. So no, this isn't the first appearance of the bandana. It's not even the canonical first appearance. This is just pandering is what this is. Passwords, which when entered in the MSX version worked basically like cheat codes, were removed in this version, and though I can't find anything to confirm it, I'd be willing to bet this is also where the idea for the game taking pity on its players was introduced. There were also some rewrites in this version. From what I can tell, it's mostly character name changes, but I can't speak Japanese, and I don't really know much more info than it was just a bunch of character sets that were added, so I'm not sure what they amounted to. Please tell me in the comments how this makes me a failure. Then in October of 2006, because we're going by upside down times here on this channel, a polished version of the 2004 mobile port was included with the release of Metal Gear Solid 3 Subsistence. For those of us in Australia that had to wait, our standard version was the special edition of all 3 discs, which also included Kojima's signature in the box, and while I'm not saying it's better than yours, This version included restored sound effects from the MSX2 original, and a more accurate translation for the script, though not a restoration of all the missing radio conversations, even though this was a version running on the PS2 that probably could have handled the extra data. And I can't imagine why. It's not like a professional games publisher would deliberately pass up such a golden opportunity out of something like Laser Spite, right? This version, with a few minor changes to adjust for the platform, would be released on PC through GOG in September of 2020, which is the version I'm playing in these videos. For those not keeping track, that's 33 years between the original release and its most recent incarnation. And they say Nintendo milks a dead horse. But this was all for the Japan and European releases, maybe Australia if you were lucky enough.
But for the Americans, they received a much darker time, one that heralded the heresies and betrayals yet to come.
That's for another time. What was I saying before? Oh yeah, the GIMP bots. I mean, I assume these things are robots. If you go anywhere near them, they'll sprint towards you with inhuman speed to do fuck knows what, but it hurts, and given how I've been describing them up to this point, I'm kinda glad for that limiting pixel aesthetic. The second floor is otherwise useless to you right now. You can't access anything, so you move on up to the roof and... The enemy knew you were coming and were laying in ambush, and I really liked this section the first time I played it. It's one of the few times that the action of the game picks up, except this isn't a shooting gallery for the player, it's a shooting gallery for the swarming guards that want to take a shot at you. There's this one moment earlier in the game where you get locked in a room with 4 dudes and you have to kill them all to get past that bit. I didn't really mention it then because it only rewards you with the suppressor, which seems like a great attachment for your pistol, until you realize that the machine gun is also apparently silenced by default, has more ammo, and fires rapidly in a spread. This isn't like that room though. Killing guards here will only give you a short reprieve until they respawn, and they endlessly respawn, so you just have to bolt your way through and hope you don't catch a bullet in the ass. It's a good reinforcement of the core sneaking mechanic, reminding the player that they're only one dude against an entire army, and like I said, I liked this the first time. The first time. Don't worry, we'll be back here. Now this lift only goes down. So if you've been keeping track, what that means if you want to go in the opposite direction from where you just came from, at least until you get all the cars that lets you easily cross the same floor and use the elevator on the opposite side, you need to go all the way back up to the roof and then come all the way back down to wherever you need to be. I mean, yeah, that's perfect. That's such a great design. Why would you even want to change that? Back down to the second floor, and Out of Heaven are really getting on their bullshit now. And it's going to be like this for the rest of the game. Card 5 gives you some more access, including this guy who tells you to call Jennifer from the Resistance and that she'll give you direct support, but that she's very proud and won't talk to you unless you're high class. That's a high bar, Jennifer, whoever you are. I've got at least 20 deaths to my name so far in a game that I said going in was easy. I'd keep your expectation of me low. Also, what's this about me needing to be high class for your taste? Don't go there, Jennifer. Snake gets around.
I can't believe I'm being hit on by the famous Solid Snake.
Well, if you make it back in one piece, maybe I'll let you do a strip search on me.
I'll hold you to that, Doctor.
He's not wrong though. Calling her right now does nothing. The rest of the floor is crawling with guards, and being spotted at this point sucks. The distinction didn't really matter before since it didn't really happen all that often, but there's actually 2 different level alerts in this game. 1 exclamation mark above a guard's head means that leaving the screen will clear the alert. 2 exclamation marks above a guard's head means they'll just keep chasing you until you leave the area entirely, or you kill enough of them that I guess they decide it's not worth chasing you anymore and call it off. And the guards from Building 2 onward are constantly on high alert, so this 2-alarm bullshit is all you can look forward to for the rest of the game. So back down to the first floor and... No, not this time. Fuck you, game. I'm onto you. Your progress is limited by the very selective placement of security access on doors, most of which you won't have the right card for yet, except for that one door in a different building in that annoying to get to spot which you do have the card for. This is just how it is now. This is how it's always been. You get a card, and you backtrack to try the doors. Then you get a card, and you backtrack to try the doors. And you get a card. And you backtrack to try the doors. You get a card, and you backtrack to try the doors. Huh. I wonder what that's for. Okay, I get down to the basement and... Fucking what? Big boss, what the fuck do you want? Oh, it's Snyder? Yeah, it's Snyder, the Resistance leader, who calls you directly twice throughout the entire game, the first of which is right now to warn you that you're at the start of the gas room. Oh shit! Oh. Oh. Oh, that was an actual warning. Already better than Big Boss. The gas room is another maze, because at this point Out of Heaven is actually just a poorly designed D&D dungeon ham-fistedly put together by a 12-year-old. And just like my dungeon maze, you immediately arrive at a dead end, but you know the drill by this point. And the car dance is deadlier now, because there's more cars to go through, but the gas still kills you at the same speed. Hey, you look old and scientisty. You're probably the one I'm here for. You fell into my trap! The real Dr. Madnar is on the second floor! I don't know what that voice is. And why would he be so specific about the real Madnar's location if this is meant to be a trap? Die, foxhound! He screams as the floor gives way and he falls into his own trap. Wait, was that his trap? Did he know that was there? Cool, so the real Madnar is somewhere around here and not in, like, building 6 or something. But we're not done in the basement. Before we can leave, we need to take on the next boss, Fire Trooper. This guy has an incredibly devastating fire attack that sweeps across the entire room, and you've only got this small safe spot right here to hide in, which is where you fire the missiles from. Now that we've got card 6, before anything else, you want to go back to the second floor just to pick up the antidote. It is, in the strictest sense, an optional item, but I cannot stress enough how vitally important it is that you get this now before you go any further. Also, Dr. Madnar is on this floor. I guess you can go get him too. I am Dr. Drago Petrovich Madnar. My daughter Ellen is a hostage. Unless you help Ellen, I won't tell you anything about Metal Gear. Listen, you old geezer. I was only sent here to find you and get information about Metal Gear. I didn't hear anything about bringing you back alive. Ellen is being held in the basement of Building 1. Oh yeah, of course she is. Just like you were in the courtyard. I can't handle another fake out, man. Please just let her be there. And then I have to get back up to the roof again, and then back down. And you're not seeing all my deaths, because then the video would just be a 20-minute supercut of only that. But I have been up and down and across this roof just so many times. And every time it's this whole fight again and again. No, wait, fuck, that's not the right floor! Okay, we're just gonna... Okay, Building 1, basement level, and the first room already shows promise. Disembodied shouting sounds like some wall punching's in order, and are you serious? Who is putting these here? Okay, just blast the wall, and it's just you are Ellen, right? Okay, cool. She's not shooting at me, and the earth isn't literally opening up to swallow us, so I think we're good. Okay, with that done, I should just go back and see the doctor, but if I leave here without exploring what's up on that next screen, I'll probably have to come back for it at some point, so let's just... Oh, hang on, I think I have a thing for this. Oh no. No.